I did not grow up celebrating Advent because I grew up in a tradition that focused on, the only things that we were to talk about is whatever was in the Bible, and I'm thankful for that. I've told you all about the Bible memory and all the donuts I got for learning Bible verses, so it was that was not a bad way to grow up. But there is a larger tradition that goes back hundreds of years, in which our tradition has participated, in which many other branches of Christianity have participated, and it is this liturgical season of Advent. And although Advent is not technically in the Bible, the concept as a construction is quite clearly there. And what we do at Advent is that we take various strands of the biblical story and weave them together at this particular time to make a point about the coming of Christ into the world. This morning, we have two of those strands that are significant in the development of Advent, and we will focus on both of those texts this morning so that we can get a sense of the kind of attitude that the community has over the centuries accentuated and taught us that we should follow in order to prepare ourselves for what's coming at Christmas. So I want you to think about this. I always want you to think about narrative and drama, but I want you to think about Advent as an unfolding drama, and also as an annual recapitulation of that drama, and you as characters in that drama, that's standing in a long line going back many centuries of other people of faith who have lived out this drama and have told these texts to one another and preached them and sung these old songs as our ancestors have prepared for the coming of the Christ. And so I want you to fully enter this Advent season and see yourself as a character in the drama. And I want you to feel the emotions. I want you to feel the passion. I want you to feel all of the things that will be discussed in the text this month, so that it's not just an intellectual exercise, although, I'm all about learning, and you're going to learn some things today. But it's also an emotional experience that drives us toward the season of Christmas. And remember, we are not in Christmas. This is not the Christmas season. Christmas season will begin at sundown on December 24th. You are in Advent. And don't you forget it. I'm not going to let you forget it. You can do your Christmas carols or whatever. I don't want to hear about it, but you can do it. And I won't get too upset, but we are not in Christmas. Christmas starts on the 24th at sundown. All right? We are in Advent. And it's only if we do that, it's only if we think that way that we can fully enter into this drama. Because Wall Street wants us to enter the drama about 5 minutes after the last bite of dressing is gone on Thanksgiving. That's when they want Christmas to start so that it'll go for 6 weeks. We're not that kind of people. We hold to a different, larger story of anticipation. And today, that anticipation begins. The first text I want to talk about is the Isaiah 60 passage that Karen just read for us. And that strand of the story is broadly related to the larger theme of messianism. That is, the recognition that God has made promises to the people of Israel and through Israel to the rest of the world, that God is going to change things, that God is going to bring about a reconciliation of all that is wrong in the world. God is going to make all of that happen. But what the people, the emotion that the people have in anticipation of that is one of a deep and abiding dissatisfaction. That is, and you can hear it in the prophet's words, "Oh, that you would come down and fix this mess." because we can't do it. All of the efforts toward which we have directed our attention over the years, all of the plans, all of the schemes, all of the effort, none of that has been successful. What we've got here is a great big mess, and we can't fix it. Even the best among us can't fix it. All of our righteousness, even the good things we do, are still but filth. We can't fix it. And so you've got to come. You've got to come down here and make this right. You've got to transform this situation because nobody else can do it. You are the only one who has the capacity to make right this big mess. And it is that sense of dissatisfaction, sisters and brothers, that is part and parcel of the whole season of Advent. You've got to be dissatisfied. You've got to be disgruntled. So I want you to get in touch with your inner disgruntlement. I want each one of you to become, for at least a month, a little like Archie Bunker. You know, where nothing is right, where everything is, where there's something wrong with everybody and everything. You know what I'm talking about. That's you have to have that attitude, because if you don't, there will be no hope for something else. There will be no anticipation. There will be no real joy at Christmas if you're already satisfied with half a loaf. If you say, well, it's not bad, but we're okay. You can't enter into the joy of Christmas. You only get to Christmas joy if you think that something's wrong now in the world that's got to be transformed. So I invite you, church, to join into the Advent drama that involves disgruntlement and a kind of holy rage and dissatisfaction and a refusal to settle for half a loaf. Well, yeah, we got a lot of crime in Jacksonville, but it's mostly in the neighborhoods on the north side, so it's not that bad. Oh yeah, because in my neighborhood it's real safe, you know. And we got the low birth weight babies, you know, people in Jacksonville who are giving birth to children, and the babies with low birth weight and high infant mortality. But again, not in my neighborhood. We only have healthy babies where I live, so I don't have to worry about it. That is not the spirit of Advent, sisters and brothers. The spirit of Advent is a dissatisfaction with that and a recognition that all of the things that are going wrong in the world require a divine solution, require divine intervention. And it is those people who live in the face and who acknowledge the reality of all of those things and the dissatisfaction that drives that. It is only those people that then can deeply and truly celebrate what happens on Christmas Eve. Now, the second text is a text not so much about messianism, but a text which takes the strand of biblical literature of apocalypticism. That is, the end of the world, the great day of the Lord imagery, which we read a lot about in our Advent text. And this passage in Mark 13 is one of the most important in all of Scripture. It's called the Little Apocalypse, where Jesus tells his disciples in the run-up to his crucifixion, because what happens in chapter 14 is the trial and the arrest and the crucifixion. All of that's going to begin in just a couple of verses. But the last thing that Jesus tells the disciples is this story about all of the bad things that are going on. And to attend to all of those things, the bad things that are going on, becomes part of the work of the community that is keeping watch and that is prepared for all of those bad things, because they know that the great day of the Lord is coming, and they know that their responsibility is, when that moment comes, that they're supposed to be ready. But that means paying attention to what goes on in the news and to see the reality underlying those things. Now, let me tell you why this is important. It may seem a bit obscure, but once you know a little bit about how the Greco-Roman understanding of history works and what's going on in the Roman Empire at this time, you'll understand why Mark 13 is such a subversive and important text. First thing you need to know is that the Greco-Roman view of history is cyclical. Okay? And you move from periods, the belief is you move from like a golden age where everything is sweetness and light and the economy is good and there's peace and everything is wonderful and lovely. But then the belief is you move into a period of decline. And that is a painful move, to move into the period of decline. And from the period of decline, you move into the period of chaos and destruction and a great, gigantic cataclysm all across society, whereafter comes again the cycle of the Golden Age, the moment of the Golden Age. Now, so just keep that in mind, because this is crucially important for understanding what's going on in Mark 13. When Julius Caesar died in the mid-40s BCE, his nephew Octavian took over. He was named as heir, and over a period of years where there was an internal civil war, Octavian defeated his enemies, most notably Mark Antony and Cleopatra, and was established as the next Caesar. In that period of time, as he began to consolidate his rule, Octavian presided at an event at a temple. It was the inauguration of the temple, and whenever you inaugurate, that's an important word. Whenever you inaugurate a temple, you have an augury, which is to say the opening up of animal entrails and the examination of the animal entrails for future portents. And Octavian, at the inauguration of this temple, performed such an augury. And in that augury, what he saw was the beginning of the Golden Age, which made perfect sense given the civil war that had just preceded his ascension into power and all of the chaos that had come out of that. And thus, as a result of his participation in an augury at an inauguration, you get the aug in there, right? Am I saying it with enough emphasis? All right. He was given the title Augustus. So he is known to history. We don't usually call him Octavian. We usually call him Augustus, but that was a title, not his name. That was the title he was given because he presided over that augury that said everything is going to get better and everything is going to be fine. And in fact, that's precisely what happened. The reign of Augustus, which was all the way through the birth of Jesus, was one of the most grand and glorious times in the history of Rome. There was peace, there was stability inside, there was a good control of the borders, the economy was strong, and everybody completely. I mean, the story of the cycle of history, all of that was reaffirmed in people's mind, and people believed in it. Now, when Augustus died, his successors attempted to latch themselves onto that myth that things were still good, that things were rolling just fine. And it is in the context of the breakdown of the Julio-Claudian dynasty in the early 60s that we find the construction of the Gospel of Mark, because the Gospel of Mark was written right at that time, probably in the late 60s. And what had happened in Rome and what was happening in Judea were all kinds of catastrophic events. And the city of Rome burned. Christians were blamed. The Christian community in Rome experienced the beheading of the Apostle Paul in this period. It experienced the upside-down crucifixion of the Apostle Peter. There was a revolt in Caesarea in Judea, where the Jewish community had a very serious fight with the Romans, killed the Romans. The battle went to Jerusalem. They killed all the Romans, and the Jews set up a government in Rome, whereupon the Romans had to send armies into Judea to quell what is going on. And in fact, in the year 69, there were 4 emperors. So the things that were going on in Judea were also mirrored by troubles in Rome. Now, this is why Mark 13 is so important, because what you're supposed to do at this particular time is never connect any of those disparate problems. Because if you start connecting this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem as a pattern, what you will be doing is undermining imperial ideology. So you're not supposed to point out anything like that. That's, you know the fable of the emperor's new clothes? You're not supposed to say that the emperor is naked. And at the time when Mark 13 is written, you're not supposed to say that the golden age is gone. You're not supposed to point out that we're now living in a decline. You're not supposed to point out that things are moving towards chaos. You can't say all of those things. But in Christian community, in this family's story, we tell the truth about that stuff. And you people, myself included, all of us, are responsible in our age to hold up our end of that deal, so that when we see things, and we see things falling apart in society, when we see problems, we don't just keep that dissatisfaction I was talking about that related to Isaiah 60. We don't just keep that in our heart. That it becomes part of our public proclamation. We're out there very loud and in people's face about what is actually going on. We will tell the truth, even if nobody else will. We will tell what's wrong with society rather than keeping quiet. And that, sisters and brothers, is just as much part of the season of Advent as is the sense of dissatisfaction. That is the willingness of the community to name what's wrong. Because it is only those who are dissatisfied, it is only those who fully grasp and appreciate how bad things are and can name it. It is those people that can build up the holy rage that then gives birth to a hope for something better, that then gives way on December 24th to the joy of the new thing that God is doing. And so this morning, my invitation to you, sisters and brothers, all of that said, is that what you need to do on this first stage of the drama is you and I have got to cultivate a sense of that holy rage. We have to look at our society and name the things that are wrong. But yet at the same time, we've got to be prepared and be looking for that new thing that God is going to do. So we don't give up in despair at all the problems, even though we are deeply frustrated by what we see. We don't give into the despair. That holy rage that builds within us is that which plants the seeds of hope for the next thing that God is going to do. And so this week, as you look at the world, I want you to watch the news. And I want you to pay attention to what's going on. Advent is the time where the church watches the news. I know everybody wants you to see the commercials. Because, Zales has the perfect gift just for her. And Walmart has a sale on Tickle Me Elmo. And all of those things, that's what's on. And we're sort of programmed at this time of year to focus on that. But the people of God are those people who are watching, who are waiting, who are ready, who are cultivating a holy rage and a holy dissatisfaction. Those people ignore the commercials and pay attention to the news. Watch and wait and prepare your hearts for the new thing that God is going to do, because that's what we believe. The whole season of Advent, only makes sense in light of the new thing that God is going to do. But God only needs to do a new thing if, in fact, our own system is broken. Obama is not going to save us. A Republican Senate is not going to save us. There is not anybody that is going to come and save us except the Holy One of Israel, except the Messiah, except the child of God who comes into the world to bring transformation to everyone. That is what we believe. That is what our hope is vested in. And this Advent season, I want you to live that story in your own life, in your own home, in your own discipleship, as you look and long for the coming of Christmas. Amen.